What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNews on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. And with me tonight is nobody. It's just me tonight. Yeah, Agent 7 is doing some family business, so it's all good. Or it's personal stuff, whatever. Doesn't matter. You got me tonight, just like you do every night or every week. So, ding. But we're gonna try and keep this well as brief as it normally is. Probably even better. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But you can find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us. Do it today. You can also find us on your podcast personal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coast of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You could also find us recording mostly every Thursday night. We are coming to you tonight on Friday night for reasons, but normally every Thursday night, 9:30ish Eastern Standard Time on the Kliq Nation's YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. So yeah, folks. If you follow my Twitter account, X account, whatever the hell, I'm going to call it Twitter from now until the day it probably folds in its own self, which would probably be any day now. So that was a pretty good big week for books, and I was not joking, at least personally anyway. But before we get into that, and we might actually even switch up the show a little bit, because we used to have a different order of things back in the day before we went to the books first method. So we'll see. But before I do any of that, we are going to, or at least I am going to talk about this week's Star Wars Ahsoka episode 6, which is called Far, Far Away. And I'm not, even despite the fact that it's been like 3 days, and I'm still not going to spoil it, because people even at this point still possibly haven't seen it, but I have seen people day zero just spoiling stuff. In fact, I got spoiled on a little something about it, unfortunately, like the morning after the episode aired, which, boy, I wish people's accounts can be taken out, or their tongues, or both. I don't know. Either way, it works out. But, tongues, that's what doesn't work. Fingers, there we go. Fingers also work. Nevertheless, so yeah, episode 6 of Ahsoka pretty much does not have much Ahsoka in it. I will say that much. We get a little brief interlude before the intro with Ahsoka and Hyung on their way on an adventure, and then that's pretty much all we get to see of her the whole episode. The rest of the episode is Sabine centric, I will say, because if you've been keeping up, you know that that Sabine had I was gonna say Sabine messed up, but which she kind of did, but not to the level of Star-Lord in, well, who's to say at this point? Almost to the level of Star-Lord in Endgame, or in Infinity War, because let's face it, it was a dumb thing to do, but she did it for reasons which I'm sure mostly anyone could understand, if you've been keeping up with the show. That being said, yes, we're kind of along with her for the ride that she's on, and what she ends up getting into, where she is. There is it was a pretty good episode, I must say. I enjoyed it. It's not, I know, as actiony as some folks may want Star Wars to be, but it was a good time regardless. We may have some new darlings in the Star Wars universe coming out of this, but we'll see how that shakes out. I'm not going to evoke Return of the Jedi, but hey, I'm just saying there might be some leanings in one way or another. Shout out to Benji Games too, who's here tonight. Yeah, it's a solo show tonight, good sir. Hope you're doing well. It's sometimes these solo shows happen. They don't happen that often because it's usually me and Agent Stephanie. But like I said, we're going to try to keep it nice and entertaining for the folks out there. But yeah, like I said, Benji, appreciate you being here. But to wrap up my recap of Ahsoka, because like I said, I don't want to get into anything that would be considered spoilers, even though it is like 3 days out or so. Yeah, it's the 6th episode, and let's just say they can check box one part of the adventure out. Let's just say that Ahsoka and Sabine had a quest that they were on. Well, a 2-part quest. One part of that quest has pretty much been taken care of with this, even though Ahsoka, even though they are, if you've been keeping up, they are kind of split apart. Nevertheless, though, like I said, you can check that out when you get a chance. Hopefully, like I said, even saying that didn't spoil anything for anyone, but you should check out the show. Like, I'm not going to be one of these people who are like day zero and tell you this, that, and the other, because ridiculous. But nevertheless, it is what it is. And now we're going to kind of skip over into the other side of the fandom, that being, excuse me for a second, Star Wars Lower Decks Season 4, Episode 4. I know I've had my issues with Lower Decks, as whatever they might be, but I'm still enjoying the show for the most part. Let's face it, I love the show. I'm not even going to go ahead and front on that. I do love the show. Like, it is still some of the things I still have an issue with are there on the periphery, but this episode was kind of just fun, and it's a Tendi centered episode, which one of my favorite characters, let's be honest. So it's actually another girls' night episode now that I think about it, because there was that one episode where Mariner and Tendi kind of have a quote-unquote girls trip and kind of get it in some stuff. Well, they kind of do that again, but this time they have the new Vulcan lower decker along with them. Or excuse me, they're all junior grades now, lieutenants, so they're not technically not lower deckers, but they're still in the lower ranks. So it is what it is on that. We do get, there is a through line through this season, of which we keep seeing a little bit on, but we still haven't gotten any headway on. Like, we keep seeing a thing kind of pop in and pop out, do a thing, and then bounce out. And as this show tends to do, like this is probably the most overt stuff like that has kind of happened, but by the end of the season, I am fairly certain they'll rectify that situation. If they don't, I'll be thoroughly shocked. because I can't see how it's not going to come to a head in probably the next episode or two, excuse me, of the series. Usually this the show is like 10 episodes a season, so like I said, it's going to definitely start rounding the corner with the next one, unless they happen to up the episode order, which I doubt. So, but yeah, on the other side of that, there was a thing with Boimler and Rutherford as the B plot, and I don't know what to think about that one. There is definitely some callbacks to some Next Generation stuff in a way, but it was amusing in its own right. Let's just say. And that, folks, is the like I said, Rick, I don't want to spoil it because that actually Lord Deck comes out on Thursdays, so therefore, that is a little bit more fresh than Ahsoka is. So, matter of fact, we'll be talking about another show later on that will be getting a change of dates and times, and I'm not sure how we're going to handle it, but I'll have to, been talking to Agent 70 about that, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. And with that, we are going to get into the books of the week, but also, let's be honest, it's just me, so I could just go ahead and rapid fire it. So here we go. Because I have no idea what I did with the Gatling gun noise. Right, pretty sure I have it somewhere, but I don't feel like trying to put it in. So it is what it is.
Nani?
I got a whole host of other things. And with that, we get into the books that I read this week. Starting off with Cyborg number 3 of 6, which has been, and as I pull up my notes here, written by Morgan Hampton, with art by Tom Rainey, colors by Michael Atiyeh, and letters by Rob Lee. So we get a little backstone. Well, I was going to say between Dr. Stone, Cyborg's Vic's dad, and the kind of sort of adversary Marcus Wilcox, or the now adversary Marcus Wilcox. And we kind of do, but we also, it's not necessarily a heist, but we pretty much get a liberation, and Cyborg goes up against, if you're watching the video version, you can see the one of the people he ends up fighting, makes short work of, though. But apparently this is an old adversary, an old sparring partner of Cyborg. While I have read some Teen Titans in my past, I can't say that I'm the most versed on them and their rogues gallery. Good, thanks for asking. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Benji. Let's see. But yeah, I'm not, like I said, not the most versed on Cyborg's rogues gallery. Not that he has much of one from what I understand, but he's fighting some robot named Atlas, and also this Marcus Wilcox person, who, as I said in my notes, is pretty much a boilerplate standard evil CEO. I was going to say he's kind of musky, and actually I do say that in my notes, but I feel like I'm giving Wilcox not enough credit and to evoke that asshole's name. But nevertheless, Cyborg kind of gets into some stuff, and at the end enlists the help of this social media influencer that's kind of been on him the last couple of issues. To what extent? We'll find out. I'm fairly certain next issue. Next up, this is going to be a little tricky because I'm doing, normally Agent 70 would do his books first, and I would be flipping through these covers quick like. But hey, we're gonna make it through. Batman Superman World's Finest number 19, written by Mark Waid, art by Travis Moore, colors by Chandler Bonvillain, and colors by Steve Wands. So this is still the arc where Batman and Superman basically meet for the first time. As I said last time I talked about this book, there feels like a slight little bit of DCU adjacent story in this. It doesn't go the way Justice League or Batman, that Batman movie went, but you can kind of see shades of it in that. But in this case, the Riddler was kind of doing some things, but he had someone. Actually, he was being controlled by someone to which we find out at the end of the last issue is another Kryptonian who was trapped in the Phantom Zone, just as you do. And said Kryptonian at the end of last issue trapped Batman in the Phantom Zone, I think along with some other Gothamites. I'm not entirely sure about that because Alfred and a few half a dozen other people are in the Phantom Zone as well, seemingly. And I was thinking I must have missed something in the last issue too, but I don't think I did. But regardless, this whole Phantom Zone thing kind of sheds light on, let's just say, another adversary that is probably going to come to the forefront. In another Superman book, as the last issue is to be believed. So I guess this was the springboard for that character to kind of, have some story, some backstory. Not even a backstory, just to kind of get this adversary in a place to where it's now current. Because this story in World's Finest is set in the past, supposedly DC's past, the DC Prime's past. But there are some things that don't match up and don't really line up right, especially when you consider some things going on with the World's Finest Teen Titans book. So. But it's that is a thing that's going on now. So I don't read Action Comics, so I don't know, but I do know that this character that was kind of sort of introduced here is going to show up there next. So if you are, hey, there you go. It's kind of amusing. Batman offers Superman some combat training at the end of this, and they almost kind of do the clasping hands thing. This is where their friendship kind of started, but as to how canon it is, I'm not entirely sure. Also, Superman's got jokes, or tries to have jokes, in a way that's kind of amusing. Yeah. You put on that Riddler hat, you gotta go all the way. But next up, we have a new number 1 in the DC corner. I've actually read a good bit of DC this week. This is, technically 1, 2 more, because actually there's one I'm missing that I totally forgot to read, and that's Titans number 3. But we'll get to that. Probably get to that next week or so. I don't know. But Wonder Woman number 1, written by Tom King with art by Daniel Sampere, colors by Tomei Morey, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So I'm just gonna read off my notes here, and it says it all starts overcame a pull against a handsy dude, as it tends to do, which escalates into a manhunt, aka a woman hunt in this case, because they're an Amazonian has kind of done some bad stuff thanks to being potentially messed with by some dude being a dude. But it kind of escalates into a big thing, which turns into a law, which turns into all Amazonians that are in the U.S. are now barred from being in the U.S., which means they all got to go, and which also, in a kind of a rip from the headlines fashion, kind of starts up a problem. But one of those Amazonians that are still around in the U.S. is, of course, the title character of Wonder Woman, who we see a little bit of because the most of the issue was pretty much set up. But we do get to see her in all her glory and, nearish the end of the issue, up against the I can't even say the governmental powers that be, because apparently the folks who started who are behind all of this may or may not be government related. And it seems to be that Wonder Woman has an anti-Wonder Woman after her. That is the quote unquote secret king that is behind it, and not the secret king that is Tom King, who's writing this book. Someone called the Sovereign, and we get a little bit about them at the end of this issue, and which pretty much kind of, like I said, sees how this story is going to go. It's I feel like somebody's probably done something similar to this in the past, but I have not read much Wonder Woman also. And the only reason why I checked this out was because Tom King was writing this, and usually his stuff is makes me curious, let's put it that way, to read. I still haven't been caught up on Danger Street yet, but that one was also a recent one that is actually still ongoing, because I know stuff got held off for Night Terrors, the event they've had the last couple of months. So, but now books are starting to come back proper, and including one that we will talk about. And actually, I might skip to in a second so we can kind of keep on the DC train. But the next book for myself is Hawkgirl number 3 of 6. There we go. Written by Jadzia Axelrod, art by Amin K. Nahulpan, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Hassan Asmani Alao. So, Kendra's adversary Bulbacula, I'm just gonna say it like that. It's late. I'm tongue-tied, which is nothing normal. There's nothing not normal around here, I guess. But basically, Bulbacula's in Gotham, and so is now Kendra and her new friend Galaxy. Batman is also on the case because of some Bruce Wayne dealings that got him involved in this, even though he's been in the issue since the first one. But nevertheless, so it's Batman, Hawkgirl, and Galaxy team up against Vulpecula and her newfound thrall, for lack of a better word, because she got somebody on that she's been using that she's been taken advantage of. And the Court of Owls comes into play. So, it's always a time when that happens. But at the end of this book, we see things are going back to where Kendra is now living, which is Metropolis, which probably likely means that Superman's going to get back into the future picture. Highly likely. I feel fairly confident of that being the case. And now I'm going to skip past all of these books. I read a lot of books this week, folks, so that's why I'm trying to kind of blow through these a little fast, because I know I have a tendency to not do so. But since I'm by myself and it's late and I have not, and well, you don't need to worry about that, but yeah. It has not been a good sleep for your boy today. Actually, not much at all. So if it sounds like I'm a little bit more loopy than normal, hey, then you figured it out more than I have. So next book is Green Lantern War Journal number 1. John Stewart is back, ladies and gentlemen, which realistically hasn't been anywhere. And in fact, as I've probably hinted around in past episodes, so ever since Future State, things have been going on with the Lantern Corps, and from what I could gather at this point, the Lantern Corps, as it were, is no more. There's another group that took over the Lanterns, but now Earth is quarantined, and therefore none of Earth's Lanterns can be Lanterns anymore, except for, I think, unless they sign up with this new group of Lanterns. Actually, no, I'm not even sure if that's the case, because that's the tone where it seems like. But there is another Green Lantern book with Hal Jordan, and he has himself a ring that he made himself. And this book, Green Lantern War Journal, comes out of the backstory, the secondary story in those last 3 issues of Green Lantern, which those are current, look, in the last 3 months, so you can easily catch up on those if you want to. Whether you need to or not, I think it would probably help just a little bit to get to know what happened in those books going into this one. Although, because I guess if you would have some questions as to, well, why is this thing happening? All of that won't get answered by those, because you would have to go back to, like, everything that's been going, I guess, Future State and everything that's been going on since, to what's been going on with the Lantern Corps. And I wish I could tell you where some of that kind of played out the most of, because, like I said, there's some of that stuff I still need to catch up on, unfortunately. But I'm just filling in the pieces from what I kind of do know with this. So, nevertheless, like I said, John Stewart is kind of back. Apparently, while the earthy Green Lanterns can't have a ring, like I said, Hal Jordan has a ring that he made himself. Apparently, somehow, some way, and I think this probably has to do with that Emerald Knight book, that one shot that came out probably like a month or 2 back, where John got a kind of a new status quo. But also, I'm not sure, because I didn't get a chance to read that. So something else happened to where it plays into all of this. But John Stewart's back home. He's taking care of his mom, who apparently seemingly has Alzheimer's, by what is intimated here. And unfortunately, as a person taking care of someone with a similar disease, it's not hard to know. So, and it's, I don't know if it's dementia or Alzheimer's, but I'm just going to say it's Alzheimer's, just by what was how it was laid out here. But John kind of also, like Hal, still kind of has that life of the life of a lantern that he kind of misses, but he's trying to heed what was passed down through whatever this new group who quarantined the Earth set upon him. But apparently also, because of, I'm assuming, that Emerald Knight thing, John Stewart doesn't need a ring, but he can still access his lantern powers. So again, like I said, this is what's making me want to go back and check out some of this stuff, because I'm not sure how that happened with Hal either, because, like I said, what happened in his book, which I ended up catching up on to read this, still has me having more questions than on that lantern front than not. So hopefully by the time the next issue of this book comes about, or the next issue of Green Lantern, I will have filled in those blanks myself. Nevertheless, this was a good starting first issue. It's actually a potential click of the week. I am a big fan of John Stewart. Mostly, like a lot of people, know of him from the Justice League cartoon, so there is that thing. I did know of him before that, but, where my fandom for him comes from is that, just like a lot of people. So, because, of what's going on here, I had to check it out, because anytime John's got a book, despite him actually having a book in the last probably year that I didn't get a chance to check out, always down to check out some more John Stewart. So yeah, like I said, he's trying to take care of his mom, but he's still kind of thinking of the Lantern Corps, because modern dull, going back to an ordinary life after you're doing what he's done. Kind of a different shift, which is understandable. But he's trying to make the best of it. You know, not Kilowog. Sorry, that's Hal's book. Yeah, like I said, he kind of gets. So a couple of things end up happening. Not to go too far into this issue, but he gets blamed for something that he didn't do, but he made the person accusing him well aware that if you F around, you will find out, basically. So that was a fun part of this book. But also we have this other thing where there's a little multiversal thing going on where there's a different universe adversary is hunting down John Stewart, so which puts our John Stewart here in the line of as a target, and then there's other alternate universe Lantern who's trying to find this person and also John Stewart, because you know, in order to find this person, got to find John Stewart. So part of that is going on, but that Lantern has gotten into a little bit of trouble at the end of this issue. So you know, we'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, that's Green Lantern War Journals #1. I'm looking forward to checking more about the book and kind of getting resituated with what's going on with the Lanterns, which I think I probably don't necessarily need to, but going to do so anyway, because that's the kind of crazy person I am. Next up is Alpha Flight #2 of 5. Written by Ed Brisson with art by Scott Godlewski, color artist Matt Miller. I'm making a slight change here. Matt Miller is doing the color art, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So, as we found out in the first issue, Alpha Flight is pretty much pulling an X Factor in that there's a public-facing side that are hunting down mutants that are still on Earth, specifically in Canada and the North Americans, and in U.S., not North America, excuse us, all North, whatever. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. But and the other side of that is they're basically trying to gather said mutants and get them off the planet for everyone's safety, which they're kind of running into a little snag in the way they're doing that. And that snag is partially Department H, and you know, and the fact that, well, they don't necessarily have the means to find mutants in a timely fashion before they have to kind of go out and hunt them down. But again, just like the whole old X Factor days, there is like two groups. It's like there's the forward-facing group, then there's the you know, the exterminator part of it, let's just say, but they're all working together. Unbeknownst to Department H, although I'm not entirely sure, it seems as of this moment, the Department H is kind of like, all right, we see what the front half is doing, and we're okay with it. I don't know if that is legit or they're just going along with it until they spring something. Something about this telling is going to tell me that they kind of know more than they're letting on and just kind of let it play out, but I don't know that for certain. It's only a 5-issue limited series, so you know, we'll see how it goes with that. Next up, still on the mutant front, but actually in the Spidey corner, in a way, is the new #1, and I wish I could, or I can, but I probably won't, put some of these variant covers in the mixed tier. But Uncanny Spider-Man #1, written by Cy Spurrier with arts by Lee Garbett, color artist Matt Miller, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is another potential click of the week for me, because it's basically Nightcrawler posing as a Spidey. So this issue gets into why he's doing that, and even Peter kind of pops in to kind of be the audience surrogate on that front. But we kind of get in to see what Kurt's getting into as a spider person, while also still trying to dodge Orcus, and who definitely knows he's around and in play, and you know, and trying to basically, well, he's not necessarily lying low if he's doing this, but at the same time he kind of is, but also trying to see how the Spidey half lives, despite everything that's kind of going on with mutants nowadays. So yeah, it's kind of funny because apparently Spidey has a fan site, and you can see a page where in typical forum fashion, and they pretty much nailed forum culture in there, which is amusing to see. Kurt, you know, I love Kurt. Kurt has always been one of my favorite mutants, ex-folk, and him kind of posing as a Spidey right now is quite interesting in itself. Of course, there are people out there trying to name this version of this Spider-Man, but we don't know what will stick. Well, apparently Kurt has a new / old weapon that I don't think I've ever seen before, but it does get explained in the course of this issue, and part of me kind of wants to look back and see where that actually came in at, or maybe I've seen it before and just not remembering. I don't know. But also, Kurt loves pizza, is taking a liking to pizza, so always a thumbs up in my book, because I love me some pizza. We also, on the side note, may or may not have gotten the whereabouts of someone that is not necessarily close to Kurt, but another mutant who is personally attached to Kurt may be back in the picture in a way that they don't even know just yet, apparently. But also, this being a Spider-Man book, you have some Spider-Man staples, such as one of Spidey's Rogues Gallery is in the midst, and probably not unsurprising to anybody if you knew who it was, working with Orcus. But also on the other side, but also there's another Spidey ally also here for a reason that that's been given, but we don't know to the full extent of. Let's just say that. So this book is this is going to be an interesting read for as long as it will last. Also the Rogues Gallery that I was talking about has a new trick up their sleeve that is one kind of familiar to mutant kind. Let's just say. Anyway, next up, Guardians of the Galaxy number 6 is the next book for me. As I look it up, bing, bing. There we go. Written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, art by Alex Lenz, color artist KJ Diaz, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So we finally get some answers, and it did not take 28 issues to do. There's still some things left unanswered about the how group fall came about, but we get a good bit of answer. Well, excuse me, we do get the answers on group fall. We don't get one or two side answers on, at the very least, what happened to one of the members of the Guardians currently. But it might not matter given what happened last issue and what happens, or what seems to be going on at the end of this particular issue. In fact, it may be a call back to the Abnett Landing version of the Guardians, in which there may or may not be a changing of the Guardians. We shall see, though. The last couple of pages, or the last pages, is kind of interesting to see what if what is being intimated here is the case. Then interesting. So next up is Loki, number 4 of 4. Excuse me. Written by Dan Waters, art by Herman Peralta, color artist Mike Spicer, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So yeah, this is the last issue of this book, and I don't know if we've talked about it before, but Loki has been looking out for pieces of this ship that got accidentally crashed into the World Tree. It was an old ship of his, which means it was designed for nefarious means. And the pieces that fell off have been causing mischief here and there in the last 3 issues, and in this one also, actually. In this particular case, the last piece ended up getting into, if you're watching the video version, you can see who is the wielder of it, and one Daredevil villain who thinks they're using the book to some effect on Loki, which in a way kind of does coming out of this, but we may or may not have seen a certain return to form for the once and probably future god of mischief / lies / stories. But we shall see. And I guess some of that, now that I think about it, because if you've been reading Scarlet Witch and, well, the last issue of Scarlet Witch and Immortal Thor, you have seen where Loki is elsewhere. And I'm going to assume that this book takes place before both of them. Definitely before Immortal Thor number, seemingly before Immortal Thor number 1, because they, even at the last page of the book, they're like, hey, you want to see what's going on with Loki? Check out Immortal Thor, which he definitely is, plays a part of what's going on there right now. So therein lies that. Next up, excuse me, as I Strange Academy Moon Knight number 1 is the next book. Excuse me. Written by Carlos Hernandez, art by Julian Shaw, color artist Edgar Delgado, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So the kids of Strange Academy are trying to find their friends Doyle and Shaylee, who's been taken over by this person whose name I can't remember. And there's a whole lot of magic going on, let's just say, as Doyle and Shaylee tries to enlist Moon Knight's help with what the bad guy is doing. Again, they've been possessed, so it's not their fault. But meanwhile, like I said, the rest of the crew, along with Miles Morales, is kind of looking for them and trying to figure out how to liberate people from this book that's almost like a phantom zone that people are trapped in, thanks to the adversary that is involved. So I think there's one more book in this series left, and it's going back into the Spider Corner with Amazing Spider-Man next whenever that book drops. So yeah, it'll all be wrapped up then. This whole one shots, one shot / event, mini event books are kind of interesting things, but are kind of weird to kind of keep a track of, I guess. There's another one, the Contest of Chaos, which is going on in Marvel's annuals, of which I'm kind of slightly behind on, but the one that came out this week was the X-Men one, and I think there's at least one more that happens, so I can still catch up and figure that out. But that's got also have a magic thing going on with Agatha Harkness, but of course, she's got a show coming out, so of course. But anyway, more on that, I guess, next week. But we get into another new number one book from this week, potential click of the week for another host, and that is Captain America #1, written by J. Michael Straczynski, with art by Jesus Sayas, color artist Matt Hollingsworth, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So yeah, after the events of that whole Cold, I can't remember what it's called, Cold War or something, which I still haven't caught up on, that happened. Steve's kind of back in play, but he's back home in Brooklyn, and he's taking a page from Hawkeye in a way, which I thought was kind of amusing, because the place that he is staying has had a change, let's just say, and was going to there's going to be something happen to it until Cap kind of stepped in. But of course, Cap's not using his own money for this, so it is what it is. Well, I guess technically he is and isn't, but that's neither here nor there. Which also brings to question a couple of things that happened in this issue, because he pretty much goes to ask for an advance, and the person he goes to doesn't, you wouldn't think, have their own money at this point, despite formerly having a whole lot of money, but I guess they still do some kind of way. But regardless, this leads into a guest appearance by the Fantastic Four Sue Storm, Sue Storm Richards, who kind of enlists her with Cap's help with a thing, and a whole lot of a singular trip bound down memory lane, which kind of infers something that will infer something going forward in this book. It's and of course a set of old Cap villain group of villains, or at least some folks associated with them are possibly back in play. There's a callback to U.S. Avengers that was made in here. I'm like, okay, maybe something more than that is going to come out of it, or whatever is going on is just going to be that. But definitely, when it comes to Cap and a group with some initials, it's never good. Also, say in my notes, shades of Hydro Cap, because of a certain part of the memory kind of feels that way, but I don't think that's the case. And excuse me, I'm sorry for if y'all heard that. I just bumped my microphone like a crazy person. Anywho's, but yeah, it seems like there's an adversary, at least as far as I'm concerned, who may be behind things that might be slightly out of Steele's wheelhouse, but we shall see how that plays out. I thought it was an old Fantastic Four villain, but I don't think that is the case. And apparently the next issue, Spider-Man's going to come along. So yeah, there's a lot of Spider-Man in my notes this week. Next up, though, we're gonna take a slight departure from the Marvel Universe, even though I probably shouldn't, with Terra War #6. Let's see, Bink. There we go. And this book is written by Saladin Ahmed, with pencils by Dave Acosta, inks by Jay Lyston, colors by Walter Pereira, and letters by Sean Lee. So we have not talked about this book much, because I just got caught up myself. So, and there is that. So Terror War is basically about this group of... So there's this group led by this character named Muhammad Cho. And what this group does is pretty much go around and fight these things called terrors, who are born out of people's fears. And this is set in some future time, where there is a divide between the lower class folks, where this group, where Cho's group is kind of situated, and the upper class, folks who are living actually high above the city. But these terrorists have been kind of growing in strength. And what we come to find out from last issue and possibly part of this issue is that things may or may not be what they seem with these terrors, but the crew has to kind of get back to a place to where they can kind of figure this out. They have some help by this, I don't know if she's highborn scientist, but definitely scientist by the high side who's kind of tagged along with them for reasons to kind of help them out with what's going on and to try to figure out what's going on. But like I said, things have kind of escalated to the point to where, well, the folks in the high class culture or the powers that be in the high class, the high side of town, kind of enacted a thing and are using Cho and other folks, other groups like him, I guess as pawns, scapegoats. I don't know what, not necessarily scapegoats, but pawns or whatnot. And of course, you know, these folks are down in the dirt, so are doing a thing. It's been a good book so far, though. The funniest thing about this book is that there's one part of Cho's group that pretty much sounds like Hank McCoy, like X-Men animated series version of Hank McCoy. So it's kind of amusing. I don't know if that's I don't know if that was intentional, but it definitely is. But nevertheless, like I said, the crew and this doctor who is called Dr. Z are kind of in the midst of a thing right now. So what happens? What will they get out of this? Who's to say? We'll find out next issue. But it's been good so far. And, you know, Saladin Ahmed has this and another non-Marvel book that I kind of want to check out. And I hope to soon. Next up, we go back into the Marvel section, but on the Star Wars side with, and you have to forgive me because I don't normally do this much talking. So this might go real bad real quick at some point. So I'm trying to also, the other reason why I'm trying to keep this quick. Star Wars Bounty Hunter number 38. I've not been keeping up with this book, but I know this book came out of I can't remember what event that came out, but and I thought this book was going to end at some point, but apparently not. So go to figure. But Star Wars Bounty Hunters is being written by Ethan Sachs with art by David Tinto, colors by Arif Prianto, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So this is a tie-in with the Dark Droids event that's going on in the Star Wars universe. And I had to, at the very least, read the last book to kind of catch up to see what the Bounty Hunters part in this. So I guess he was and probably is still the main character of this book is called Valance. He's a cyborg in the Star Wars universe. He's got a crew made of some other bounty hunters, but something happened to him to where his cyborg part is being messed up. Not unlike what's going on with Lobot. Well, actually, I take it back. It is slightly different to what's going on in Lobot in the main Star Wars book. But nevertheless, something with his CPU got messed up, so his crew's been trying to get him some help. They end up in this place where, excuse me, where there is a free droid cult kind of floating around, in addition to what's going on the other side of this Dark Droids thing. But it seems as though at some point this free droid cult has been infiltrated and taken over by the person behind the Dark Droids thing, who's just pretty much spreading like a virus. So that's kind of a thing that's going on, and in this issue we get shades of Clone Wars in that there's a reference to, if you're watching the video version of this show, General Grievous apparently had a run-in with this droid cult back in the past during the Clone Wars, which is also, I guess, possibly inferring something about the story here, about where they are concerned in this whole Dark Droids thing. But you know, some things happen. Like I said, Valance's crew trying to help them out, kind of get caught in a situation, including what's going on with Valance himself, because someone's trying to basically wipe Valance and use them for their own purposes, who just so happens to be at this place where they went to get him help. So therein lies that. Excuse me. And the tie-in, the other tie-in to this is a new #1 in the Star Wars universe. One I've been kind of looking forward to reading, and that's Star Wars D Squad. Is a Dark Droids tie-in. So I was going to say the Dark Droids part, but I didn't necessarily have to. It's written by Mark Guggenheim for the whole thing, and there's 2 stories. The art for the first story, the main story, is by Salvin Espin, and the color artist is Israel Silva. The art on the second backup story is by David Messina, and the color artist is Brian Valenza on that one, and letters for the whole thing is VC Joe Sabino. So this takes place after Star Wars, I can't remember, probably 36, 37, something like that. When C-3PO, who got taken over by whatever this Dark Droid virus is going on, who's taking over droids, took over C-3PO and made him throw R2 out of Home 1 without his scanner, so he couldn't call for help. So the start of this book is pretty much R2 trying to basically rescue himself, which, you know, R2 is resourceful, and he finds a way to do it, even though, as we come to find out, and we still don't have, as far as I remember, no confirmation of when this happened, he doesn't have his jets, because this takes place during the time after Empire Strikes Back. So the current timeline in the Star Wars books, or Marvel books, I should say. So, as fate would have it, he ends up coming across not 1, but 2 other droids, of which, now, if you don't know, during the Clone Wars, R2 and a few other droids were made into a squad, which this is basically where it's coming from. And one of the droids just so happened to be kind of still around, and you know, and comes across R2. So, you know, this droid gets involved. Another droid that folks may know of from Star Wars Rebels, which, hey, let's face it, this is the only one that you know and care about. Chopper also is in the mix. If you're watching the video version, you can see the cover there. Who also shows up in this begrudgingly, and you know, not necessarily tasked and on the squad, but is there right now. So, you know, I think this is a 4-issue book, which I forgot to put that in my notes. So, you know, there's not going to be too much to this, but it's seemingly them starting to come together. R2 pretty much doing R2 and trying to save his friend, and basically inadvertently getting the band back together in the process of this. So, and that's the main story. Oh, they do. R2 gets a kind of a tip from Chopper, thinking it's about C-3PO, but it ends up being about another protocol droid. That, if you have been keeping up with Star Wars books and been reading Dr. Aphra in the beginning, you pretty much know who that is. So that's going to be an interesting re-meeting. I can't remember if they've met before. I don't know. But the backup story has to do with the leader of this free droid cult, and pretty much leads into, weirdly enough, Dark Droids #1, which has been out for a couple of weeks now, almost a month at this point, because Dark Droids 2, I think has come out, and I think I've talked about it already, actually. Yeah, because in the past couple of weeks. So that story pretty much takes place and leads into Dark Droids #1, which at the back of all of these Dark Droid tie-ins, there is a checklist of the reading order of this. So, if you do happen to come across it, you can check that out for yourself. But this book must have been kind of pushed for a reason or two, because like I said, this, for that reason, should have come out before Dark Droid #1, but for whatever reason, it's out now. And like I said, Dark Droid 2 has come out in like the last week or two. So there is that. Next book is Uncanny X-Men. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that's not right. Uncanny Avengers, #2 of 5, according to what I have here, to which I need to make sure to put that down. There we go. So yeah, the Unity Squad is back. Written by Jerry Duggan, art by Javier Garrón, color artist Murray Hollowell, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So yeah, after the events of the first issue, in where Cap and the newly reformed Unity Squad end up going up against Captain Krakoa and some mutants that are following him. This new Captain Krakoa, who we think we know who that is, or at least I have had a theory of who that is, but this issue may have put some doubt in my mind on who that is, and in fact, may have also told us who this new Captain Krakoa is, and it's not Cyclops, and it's not even a mutant, put it that way. I had a theory that I presented to Agent 70 when we talked about this first book, and he kind of agreed with me. And I don't know if he's read this book yet, but I think he might have seen the same thing from this than I have. And it's probably not who we thought it is, but someone similar to someone who we thought it was. So I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but if that person was forefront in mind, but there wasn't. So, but the other thing that happens in this book is there was the whole fight with Captain Krakoa and crew. Cap kind of gets hurt, but ends up being more like his former / best friend in a thing, and also kind of like Thor from that one run of Thor, if y'all remember correctly. I'm not telling you which one, because that kind of infers what happens. Also, now that I think about it, there might have been two allusions to who this new Captain Krakoa is. One directly and one indirectly. And I didn't think about this while I was reading this, but now it makes more sense, because Captain Krakoa and his crew kind of ends up doing something that Orcas didn't know about, because this crew is working for Orcas. Kind of went off script, let's just say, for reasons no one knows at this point. But now that I think about it, may have inferred who has the thing on. Someone gets to see who is under the battle suit. And it was none other than the one of the Strucker twins, let's just say, who doesn't seem surprised by this, I guess. So whenever I guess the audience will be let in on this. Who knows? We'll see how long they're trying to tease this out. But like I said, as sure as I was for who I thought it was in the first place, I'm fairly equally as sure who it is now, given what was laid out in this issue. So, but yeah, it seems like there may be a change in the leadership of the Unity Squad. The cover kind of suggests this thing doesn't quite happen that way, but something suggested Deadpool kind of takes up for Cap, which feels weird, but I get why he's doing that, given that whole Secret Empire situation, or from that, I guess. And also Cap calls in the service of someone aligned and owner of the Daily Bugle. Being an upright person, because you got to get it out there. The people got to know. People got to know the truth. So, which also leads into a callback to another event from another character's book who has nothing to do with this. Let's just say it with that. Yeah, but yeah, good read. You should check it out if you're interested in this. And the last book, I'm going too far, is Amazing Spider-Man number 34, written by Zeb Wells, art by Patrick Gleason, color artist Marcio Moniz, and my apologies if you hear that background noise of people, in their cars. Letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, as we found out, Peter is under the influence of the goblin sins, or whatever the heck that whole thing is about. Norman's basically out there trying warning folks, but also trying to talk to Peter. And on the other side of trying to talk Peter down, which doesn't quite go that well. But this whole thing starts off with a conversation that has to do with the attempted the attempted taking out of one Lonnie Tombstone. I was about to call him Lonnie Liston. Basically, Tombstone. I can't remember his last name. And of course, the marriage, the interrupted marriage of Tombstone's daughter Janice, who's now the new Beetle, and Robbie Robertson's son, whose name I also can't remember at this point. Because he's Robbie Robertson's son. That's pretty much that. But that conversation gets interrupted by an attempt on Tombstone's life. Put it that way. And I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but the perpetrator, is someone you know well. Let's put it this way. And on the other side of that, Craven's the hunter's son is getting a taste of Craven's last hunt thanks to Spider-Man. And it's all pretty much kind of coming together, because near the ends of this book, some things kind of come together and leading into, because I think this is the penultimate of this arc, the penultimate issue of this arc, and what's going to happen next issue. We pretty much already know what's going to happen. Let's put it that way. Because it seems to be an inevitable, just like what happens, potentially happens in Loki number 4. And with that, folks, that is it for me. We're going to get into the Kliqs of the week, which actually I don't know if I have the sound effect. And I do have this, so maybe I'll put that under where it's supposed to be. There we go. Kliqs of the week. I'm sorry if that was really loud, but it probably won't be in post. So we did get one, at least I got one from Agent 70. Who could not be here, and his Kliq, probably not even surprising, is Captain America number 1. As As he said, he did have a chance to read that while he was busy. And, man, like I said, it was a good read. I have to admit, I had not been keeping up with the whole Cold War stuff. But, yeah, that was a fairly decent... Oh, okay. And we also got, well, I guess we technically got one from Dirt as well, which I will have to put in the book. And I've been actually meant to read this as well because I'm very curious about this in a way. And that book is, pardon me a moment, Predator versus Wolverine, #1. Excuse me. Not sure how many issues there is, but nevertheless, yes. So, as was bound to happen, Wolverine and the Predator square up. And I'm sure it won't be too long, as I've said before, to where aliens are going to be... There's going to be an AVP situation going on. I wouldn't be surprised. Say there's a couple of interesting variant covers to this as well, to which I guess I could do, but I'm not. So maybe one might show up in the thumbnail for the video version. So yeah, those are Kliqs for 1870 and Dirt. For myself, Dirt said he didn't have the chance to read much, but that Predators versus Aliens book is fun, and he got the variant, which I guess now we'll have to put the variant in there because it's a variant that calls back to a classic Wolverine / X book. There we go. Actually, there is another one. So another variant cover that is pretty much the opposite of this, and I guess I'll go ahead and put that one in here too if you're watching the video version. And that's this. So if you're not watching the video version, the variant cover that's up on the screen is Wolverine with the claws out, and you see the image of the Predator in the claws image, in the claws, which has always been a weird cover for me for reasons I won't go into, but now here's this other variant cover, which is the Predator with its claws out, and in the same fashion as Wolverine, with Wolverine in showing up in the mirror, in the Blade's mirror image. So that's pretty cool. Those are both pretty cool variants. There's a few more, but like I said, I don't want to get into all of that. For myself, quickly, I did say I had a couple of it's like, as you can see, I've read a lot of books this week, so it's been interesting. I don't normally read this many books, and sometimes I don't really talk about as many books, even if I have read some of them, because we try to kind of keep it down to a low roar. But since it's just me here, I can do what I want. But potentially, the Green Lantern Warzone was a potential Kliq. Captain #1 also, and Uncanny Spider-Man definitely was one. Wonder Woman actually #1 was a pretty good one. I feel like Tom King's putting that CIA. Well, I was gonna say he's putting that CIA knowledge to work, but he's also just pretty much ripping stuff from the headlines and using that in the story. So that's not, because how that book plays out, you've definitely seen and or heard of things happening similarly in the past, fairly recently, sadly. But excuse me, as I sip some liquid here, I think I'm going to go with. It's kind of tough because even up until the time of recording, I was like, "Well, man, what am I going to do?" Because it's like there was some good stuff, but it was like, just a block of stuff. Speaking of block of stuff, I think it was either Star Wars D Squad or actually, I think I have it in my notes. Let me see. Yeah, Star Wars D Squad apparently has a planet named Lego that is now canon in the, because these Star Wars books are canon, not Legos but Lego, spelled Lego. So I'm sitting here like, so Lego singular, which I guess Legos is still the singular of Legos, is now canon in the Star Wars universe, which is weird. I don't know. Maybe it comes from something in something in the past that I don't know about, but that seems awfully funny to me. But anyway, Strange Academy of Moon Knight #1 is also pretty good because the math magic is never going to be not funny to me. I don't know why. Guardians was also pretty good because, like I said, we got some answers from that. And also questions from that coming out of that book. But I think just to kind of keep this pushing, I'm going to go with I'll do this, yeah. Uncanny Spider-Man #1. And you might also see another callback to this book in the title of this here episode. So that's going to be amusing. And with that, we're going to go into the news. But first, an ad reading. Boy, do I wish I had these ads canned so that I wouldn't have to read them and give my voice a rest. But Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to cabernet to torrontés, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever tried an orange wine? And I'm just going to say no, I haven't, but I'm still looking to at some point if that's still a thing. Anyway, Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your tastes. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And I can attest to that because I remember one time way long ago we ended up doing said thing. Wink wines. Oops, sorry. Shoot. Wink wines to CSPN. Do it today. Yeah, I got some chopping up to do. That's the wrong one. There we go. See, this is this is doing it by yourself. It's amusing. Not that I haven't done it before, but hey, anyway. And now we get to the news. And we start off with the cinematic news as we tend to do. Apparently Doom Patrol's final episodes have a premiere date. And for the rest of season 4. And that date is sometime in October from this article. When Doom Patrol returns in October, it'll be for its final episodes. It was announced earlier this year that the series, along with Titans, would be ending after their current 4th seasons. But while Doom Patrol is ending, series star Jovian Wade says, I believe that's the character that's the person who plays Cyborg actually, that the series will have a full circle ending that will leave fans satisfied. So, cool. It doesn't say when in October, just sometime in October is when the last bit of Doom Patrol is coming. Watchmen creator Alan Moore asked DC to send his film and TV royalties to Black Lives Matter. I saw this on Twitter and was like, all right, get yours. Recent movies don't stand by their original principles, or I guess that is a quote from him. was revealed by the Telegraph in England that he is no longer accepting royalty checks from DC Comics for films and television series based on his works. He has asked the company to instead reroute these checks to Black Lives Matter. The Telegraph asked more if reports were true about him taking all of the money he makes from film and TV series and dividing it amongst the writers and other creatives, to which the answered, "I no longer wish it to even be shared with them. I don't really feel with recent films that they have stood by what I assumed were the original principles, so I asked for DC Comics to send all of the money from any future TV series or films to Black Lives Matter." Moore added that he is not interested in money and lives a quiet life in North Hampshire, England, and he's been very vocal in the past, this is true, about not agreeing with adaptations of his work, and he's been highly critical of contemporary superhero movies. So, yeah, and this article goes on from there, but I will not. Next up, Loki Season 2 will now premiere on Thursday nights. This was what I was alluding to earlier. So, as folks may know, this show, Comic Book Chronicles, records on Thursday nights. And we would usually try to start recording about 9:30. Well, Loki Season 2 is going to premiere on October 5th, as we already know, at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern. So we have been, well, it's been debated that we can probably record after the show, which is viable but I kind of would hate to do it. But at the same time, the way these shows have been going, now that I'm thinking about it, I doubt if the show's more than 30, 40 minutes. And a lot of times lately we have been recording later than that, which for reasons that, won't get into for reasons. Like I said, I still kind of hate to do that, but at the same time, you know what? That's probably viable. We still wouldn't be able to talk about it spoiler fashion, but we weren't going to do that anyway. So, yeah. So, and that's in 2 weeks. So, yeah, we definitely will be talking about it then, but whether we do it that night or the night afterwards, which now that I think about it, yeah, we kind of have to do it that night, and just watch the show and do it, because that would put us a little farther behind, and it'll be weird. Doable, but weird. I don't know. We'll see. Next up, though, Hulu just added its first ever Marvel Studios special, and that special is the Werewolf by Night special that's from last year, just in time for Halloween. So, but unfortunately, said special will be leaving Hulu on Halloween, actually, according to this article. So yeah, the special can be streamed now as of this recording, but it's going to be available until October 31st, which is Halloween. So before it goes back to being exclusive on Disney Plus, according to this. So, hey, if you didn't get a chance to watch it on Disney Plus and you have Hulu for some reason, hey, there you go. It wasn't bad, I would say. But yeah. Next up. So we talked about the very short treks, Star Wars, little animations, little cartoon shorts that have been coming out, or that were to be coming out. Apparently, there are 3 of them now with this one that is out that I'm about to talk about now, which has to do with Crusher and Riker in a short called Worst Contact. As this article says, we're reminded first contacts, like first dates, can be awkward. And apparently, according to the StarTrek.com article, there is a tie-in book to these very short treks, which I did not know about, but apparently this is on their sites. That is on their site. So that can be checked out in the show notes. I have not watched this particular short, but I have watched like the first one, which you know, they basically took the style of Star Trek the Animated Series, and kind of, you know, making new shorts out of that particular style. The the one that I saw, I can't say that it pretty much landed for me. It was amusing at first, but it felt like an SNL skit that would have done the similar thing, and probably has done a similar thing. But yeah, I don't know. I have to check out this particular short and the next one to see if those are any better. But this was all done in celebration for Star Trek the Animated Series' anniversary, which was what, 30 years? Yeah, it's basically a tribute to Star Trek the Animated Series, which I think also just celebrated an anniversary of which I can't remember. So I will probably end up going back to watching the animated series, because yeah, I remember watching that when I was little, and you know, a couple of times since then, but not the whole thing. I'm pretty much already on doing a Enterprise run, going into Discovery and Strange New Worlds. So, and I just started on season 2 of that with season 2 of Enterprise, and boy, that is a show. Yeah. I'm also going to say it's probably not canon, but it is. But it's there's a reason why I can say it's probably not canon, but we're going to push on. New photos from the Toxic Avenger remake, and details on Elijah Woods' penguin-inspired character. You can see said character if you're watching the video version. Yeah, it kind of does look like the penguin. I can see it. But they're remaking the Toxic Avenger, I guess, again. Peter Dinklage, I don't know if we reported that, but Peter Dinklage is playing Toxie this time around. And Kevin Bacon is in it, along with Elijah Wood. So, yeah. Take that for what you will, folks. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but that is a thing. Next up, though, some news from the XXX corner, and not the adult section, you filthy. Get your minds out of the gutter. The film franchise XXX, starring Vin Diesel. Well, sometimes starring Vin Diesel, because that second one was Ice Cube. Anywho, apparently there is a fourth XXX movie that is still in development. But according to Deadline, there's a new company called the H Collective that is launching a new. Oh, excuse me. The H Collective is launching a new company called H3 Entertainment, which looks to integrate metaverse, Web3, and AI into a lineup of movies. Oh dear God! They also revealed that they're working on a sequel to Brightburn and the aforementioned XXX 4 that is in some sort of development, according to this article. It says that according to the Deadline article, that the company's slate has also included, but there's no updates on the project progress of that XXX 4. Also, I've seen reviews for the Continental, which has nothing to do with XXX, the Peacock show, and by a personal account, someone said that that first season of Twisted Metal was amusing, but I don't know I don't know how much I trust their judgment on that. So we'll see. But yeah, there may or may not be another XXX movie. It's out there in limbo somewhere. Now we're going to go into the anime corner with there we go. I always got to keep one on the back burner. New Burn the Witch anime is announced. So if you don't know about Burn the Witch, it is, and I can't say that I know a whole lot about it, but Burn the Witch a few years ago had like a three episode anime. I guess you would almost call that an OVA at that point, but I don't think they do call it that. But Burn the Witch is supposedly set in the world of Bleach. I have not watched enough Bleach to know where or how that fits in. So I have not watched Burn the Witch. I am still in catch-up mode for Bleach and Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War, which there is not really too many places to check that out. But unless you have a subscription to Hulu or Disney Plus in other areas, so and or a way to get to said other areas, I guess. But anyway. Studio Colorido and Team Yamahitsuji will be returning as well to animate the adventures of Noelle and Nini, which I guess are the main characters of Burn the Witch. The original voice actors for the witches, Yuna Yamada and Samitano, will also be returning to the series, which is going to be called Burn the Witch Point 8, number 0.8, I guess. The project has yet to reveal when the release date is going to be for this Bleach side story, so look out for that. And I kind of wish Agent 70 was here, but I'm sure he may or may not already know about this. Haikyuu finale promises to drop anime updates soon. So an update from Shonen Jump has featured a promo for the Haikyuu final movie part 1, and it says here that it turns out that the anime has a special stage planned for Japan, I don't know why I put the emphasis where I did, on September 24th. I believe we've talked about that previously. That is the fan thing where some fans I guess the crowd is going to be animated into the Haikyuu movies that are coming. So... But yeah, let's see. The 2-part movie will kick off with decisive battle at the garbage dump. The movie project was announced back in August 2022, and production IG has been hard at work since the film, according to this article. Of course, COVID-19 set them back, and they, being that this is a Japanese production, has nothing to do with the current strikes, the ongoing strikes going on here in the U.S. Although, I guess when it comes to the localization of it, that will probably be slightly different. Although I know voice actors have a different contract from SAG-AFTRA stuff. So, and I think actually, well, there's some stuff going on in the video game front that might affect that also. So we'll see how that's playing out, because I know that's been a thing that's been bubbling up recently. Next up, though, Blade of the Moon Princess. Oh, so the Spy Family creator made another manga called Blade of the Moon Princess, and apparently is not out yet, actually. So I guess it's been getting hyped up before it even came out, but the folks over at Screen Ramp apparently has a review of it. Oh wait, no, it says here Viz Media has published the first volume of Blade of the Moon Princess in English. The pattern of Tetsuo Endo having strong women in action roles continues in this work, and as Princess Kaguya Takenuchi prepares to take the throne of the Silver Court of the Moon, whatever that means. But this is the story becomes an action-packed adventure about growing up and becoming an impressive leader. It imbues classic elements with futuristic aspects and an enjoyable and intriguing combination, according to this article. If you're watching the video version, you can see the cover for the manga there. And I would assume that this is probably on the Shonen Jump app, or will be, given that they've already published the first volume, so I assume that is the case. And no, neither one of Agent 70 or I have bought into the Shonen Jump app just yet. But creeping ever so slowly into doing so. Not a sponsor, just saying. Speaking of Spy Family, the Spy Family game that is coming to the Switch next year, I saw this during the Nintendo Direct recently, and that's probably the only surprise that was coming out of that direct. But that's a whole nother situation for a whole nother podcast, of which I am not currently doing. So yeah, so this new video game is centered around Anya, the precocious kid of Spy Family, and this is called Spy Anya Operation Memories. It's a life simulator that allows players to assume the role of Anya Forger and experience her life both at home and as a student at Eden Academy. Tasked with completing a photo diary, which I guess there's some Pokemon Snap type situation going on here. Players must complete activities at school on weekdays, while weekends are reserved for quality time with Lloyd, Yor, and Bond. The Nintendo Direct showcased several different locales for that the family can visit, including beaches, museums, and aquariums. The game is scheduled for release sometime next year, so that's fun. May check that out. We'll see when that happens. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This is the new Shonen Jump series that has been hyped up even before it's released, and it is called Kakurabachi by Takeru Hakazono, and it's joining the Shonen Jump lineup, and I guess this is a part of that new wave thing that we've been talking about. I'm not sure. Yes, it is confirmed in this article. And I guess that next wave, not to be confused with Marvel's next wave, which you should read because it's very good. But, and I apologize for saying so much, but hey, it is what it is. There are 3 chosen, and the aforementioned manga is one of them. Apparently, you can read it here. Well, you can read it on Shonen Jump for free, I guess, at its official source. If you want to check that out, I'm trying to see what is this thing about? Does it release? Oh, here we go. A former swordsmith apprentice embarks on a bloodthirsty path against a gang of sorcerers who have taken over the city. That's pretty much what we got. So already I'm kind of interested. This article kind of goes on to say what the main character is like and whatnot, but I'll let you folks find that out for yourselves if you want to read that article, whatnot. Now we're getting over into I guess we're transitioning from the anime manga corner into the comic book section with nope, not that one, sorry. There we go. And a little bit of this. All right, new Star Wars Visions comic explores the Ronin's Sith origins. So this is, if that wasn't any indication to you, there's going to be a book based off of based off of Star Wars Visions, the animated series that was anime inspired that came out, that is still out there on Disney Plus, and season 2 is actually out there. And I still haven't watched them all now that I think about it. This particular, I guess, book, yeah. So the first episode of Star Wars Vision was called the Duel, and it had to do with a Ronin who may have had some Sith leanings in the past or whatnot. And this book is going to get into the origins of that character. And that's going to be this November. So if you enjoyed that particular, and it's written by the writer of that Star Wars Vision short. So So there you go. Look out for that in November. Next up, have first details on Dark Horse's Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures Phase 3. So yeah, the High Republic stuff has started in Phase 3 at this point, or is going to be starting in. I'm still getting catch up on phases 1 and 2. So yeah. But anyway, let's see. Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures, which is Dark Horse's ongoing series set during the High Republic. It's going to Phase 3 is going to arrive on December 6th from the original series writer Daniel Jose Older, with interior art and cover by Harvey Tolibao and cover by Michael Atiyu. The issue will also feature a variant cover by Sirish Barazesh. So yeah. I have not really been keeping up with that particular book, but I've kind of skimmed a couple of them. So, cool stuff. Now, let's see. In comic book news proper, the legendary Hulk's dark secret reveals why Reed Richards created him. So, this is the spoilers for Ultimate Invasion number 3. I won't go too far into that because I can't remember if I actually read it or not. I think I did, but I don't remember. Chalked it up to remember and reading a hell of a lot of books, folks. But the maker pretty much remade the Ultimate Universe, and there's more Ultimate Universe news to come. But he basically made this Hulk who is like a cult leader. It is still Bruce Banner, but I guess Ultimate Invasion 3 explains. Oh, and Ultimate Invasion, the miniseries, pretty much kind of has a whole bunch of the world's leaders, of which this Hulk is one of them. Kind of, actually, I did read this, yes, because this was the one Howard Stark kind of met this group and found out what was going on in the world's Illuminati. So there was that, but like outside of that, I don't remember too much about the book. So I did read it. Now that I think about it, but yeah. Next up, Louise, Simonson, and June Brigman reunite for Power Pack's milestone 40th anniversary. So this January, a new Power Pack story adventure set during the early days in Power Pack Into the Storm. That is that. I know somewhere Matt Wayne 97 is cheering his heart out. This is going to be a 5-issue retro series, which I guess that's what we're calling those now. These retro series are pretty much new stories that are pretty much inserts from a time and a place in the past in the history of I guess the Marvel Universe, or at large, whatever the case, in comic book history. So, but hey, retro series, there we go. If I remember that, I guess that's what we'll call them from now on. The new series will capture the same spirit, I guess, as the original group. As the original series, as the group faces a cosmic threat tied to one of their fiercest foes. Up against the factions of the Snark, the Brood, and more, it's a mission with enormous stakes that threatens the very stability of the cosmos. So, and it looks like it'll be Power Pack and Franklin Richard, who was a member of Power Pack, and of course the X-Men, because they have associations with them. So there is the cover for the first issue, and like I said, the first issue will be on sale according to this January 24th. So shout out to Weezy Simonson. Meet the new Moon Knight, who will replace Mark Spector. So this is coming off of that Death of Moon Knight story that is, I guess, still going on at this point, which I still need to catch up on that. Jed McKay is setting up to kill Mark Spector, or yes, sure. In Moon Knight 30, that's, I guess, spoilers, but not really, because we've been talking about this for like a good month or so. But apparently there's someone new, and it's not Hunter's Moon, apparently, who is the other Moon Knight adjacent character. But they will still be around, it seems. So it says here, in the wake of Mark's death, his midnight mission will remain, but Khonshu will crown a, quote, deadlier lunar legionnaire for the dark times ahead. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up trying to catch up with this book, because I was reading it, but I think I for some reason fell off at the 25th issue, or didn't have a chance to read the 25th issue. But nevertheless, the next few issues are going to run headlong into the death of Moon Knight. Artist Greg Capullo marks the death and rebirth of Moon Knight, speaking of, with new variant covers. So we knew that Greg Capullo was going to be doing some Marvel work. And if you did not know, I would say probably famously, Capullo has done some work for the Distinguished Composition with a certain Bat man. So dude has dude probably has a little experience drawing brooding dudes in capes. So, you know, just saying. But if you're watching the video version, you can see one of Capullo's covers right now. Actually, there's a couple. So good stuff. I like Capullo's art, but I never really read Batman like that. So, but nevertheless, Vengeance of the Moon Knight #1. That's what these covers are for, which are going to go on sale January the 3rd. And Moon Knight 30 is going on sale December 13th, which is going to be the last book in the current series. So look out for those. Spider-Man declares war against his greatest supervillains in gang war. So we've kind of talked about this before. We knew there was this gang war thing happening again. And this pages of Spider-Man and the current stuff has been, including the attempted assassination of Tombstone, has been a part of that, and setting that stuff up. But it says, yeah, this is like this article says, it spins out of what's going on currently in Amazing. And apparently, yeah, Peter's going to be on the warpath. And I doubt is in his current form and what's going on with him as of this particular issue of Amazing that came out right now. But if you're watching the video version, again, you can see the folks that will be along for the ride, including one barb-fisted She-Hulk, which, all right, sure. But Elektra, Daredevil, Miles Morales, and Spider-Woman, of course, of which we know is going to be a part of this. And Shang-Chi is also part of this, but he's not on this cover. So, Luke Cage, Mary Jane is also going to be a part of this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, this is going to be a thing that's going to be going through a couple of new books, including a new book, a new miniseries with Luke Cage. Here's the cover for that right there. Miles Morales is going to get a piece of that. And, of course, Amazing. And Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, which is going to be the miniseries for Shang-Chi. Wait. Yeah, there's a new Spider-Woman book. Is She-Hulk getting a book? I know She-Hulk is definitely getting a book. But I don't know if her book is going to... Doesn't look like it here. It doesn't look to be crossing over. Doesn't look to be affected by this, unless, let's look at the checklist, shall we? Nope. Just Daredevil, Miles, Spidey, Luke Cage, and Shang-Chi. So yeah, but apparently she's still involved though. So She-Hulk is involved. So there you go. Hopefully she won't have a similar fate as Kamala. But anyway. Oh, geez, man. Seasons of the seasons change for Wanda Maximoff in Scarlet Witch number 10. So there's some new artwork from Scarlet Witch number 10, in which I guess is going to put her headlong into the sights of the new character Hexfinder, who's kind of been in the behind the scenes, slowly coming after Wanda. And I guess, yeah, we will see that November as to how that plays out. Marvel announces Resurrection of Magneto for New York Comic Con 2023. This came out of a panel that AIPT had, along with a couple of other articles that are coming up. And I guess solicits. I need to pull that right there. Thank you very much. There we go. So yeah, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but also this kind of is a surprise because Magneto is no longer around, and from what I remember, did not want, pretty much had his backups deleted. So how are they going to bring him back? I do not know. But also, there is a clone of Magneto running around in the pages of Scarlet Witch, so connection, maybe, maybe not. We shall see. But yeah, then there's going to be more at the Next Big Thing panel at New York Comic Con, so we'll let y'all know what we find out when that happens. The original 5 X-Men are called upon for an all-new multiversal mission, in original X-Men number 1. And that's going to happen this December, and during continuing the X-Men 60th anniversary. It's going to be, like I said, an original X-Men adventure written by Christoph Gage and Agent 70's favorite and Dirt's favorite, Greg Land, doing the art. I love how this Marvel article says 2 X-Men titles, Christos Gage and the artist Greg Land, which, yeah, Christos Gage is, sure. So, and I mean, some people don't like Land's art for reasons, and I kind of get it, but hey. So here is the cover for that, which kind of harkens back to that classic X-Men style. Doesn't look bad. That's a Ryan Stegman cover, so I guess he's going to be doing the covers for those books. And yeah, it says here that this December is going to be a supersized. Oh, excuse me, it's a supersized one-shot, so it's not going to be a series. It's just a one-shot. That the crew is going to be on. This references when Bendis brought the 5 back in All New X-Men, and all the havoc that happened between there since then. Not havoc, but it was a time, folks. But yeah, we'll give folks more on this when we get a little bit more, such as like when this comes out in December, which is December 20th. Chip Zdarsky returns to Marvel with Avengers Twilight in January. So Chip Zdarsky and Daniel Acuna, which is funny how this article says returns to Marvel, which he hasn't been really gone that long. His run of Daredevil was not that long ago, actually. So yeah, but apparently again at New York Comic Con. Next month, the Next Big Thing panel. Again, there's going to be more news on Zdarsky and Acuna's Avengers thing. We don't really have much to go on here, but that fact. But yeah, I'm you know me. I love me some Avengers, so I'm looking forward to pretty much anything Avengers. And I haven't read Zdarsky's Daredevil. I think I did read his Howard the Duck, so mixed feelings. Now, for some news that I guess would not have, that you could and possibly could not have seen coming. we find out what Jonathan Hickman's other book outside of that God's event thing going on is, and he's taken it to the Ultimate Universe with Ultimate Spider-Man. I assume this is the thing he said. This is the thing he said he would never do. When the last time we talked about it, but I guess this is confirming the fact that the Ultimate Spider-Man series is going to come out of the Ultimate Invasion limited series that I was talking about not long ago. And actually, yeah, it says next week that it's wrapping up. With the Ultimate Universe respawning along with it. So yeah, and we already knew that the Ultimate Universe was coming back. So that's at this point is not a surprise. The surprise is what Hickman is doing, was doing. We did not know that he was going to be a part of this, which is again also makes me want to go back and read the Ultimate Universe, because I didn't read a whole lot of it outside of when Miles was introduced. And well, excuse me, and the original Ultimates, a couple of the original Ultimates books. So, and that was a whole thing. So, why are they bringing it back? We don't know, but you know, I guess something was going to happen at some point since they kept the maker around. Next up, though. Pardon me. Spider-Man 2, as we go into Toy Corner. Spider-Man 2 confirms how many suits will be in the game, and this was from the PlayStation State of Play, which came actually the day after the Nintendo Direct last week. So I was happy to see this, because I am looking forward to playing Spider-Man 2, even though I have not finished Miles Morales or the original Spider-Man video game, Insomniac Spider-Man game for clarity, because there has been many Spider-Man games. So apparently both Miles and Peter's characters are going to have like 5 unique suits apiece, but there's going to be like way more than that. It says 65 unlockable suits, and I think unless those 10 suits that I saw were like pre-order bonuses, I can't remember. But regardless, there's going to be a bunch of suits, which the first game, the Spider-Man game, had that. More likely, the Miles Morales game also kind of had a bunch of suits also that you could kind of switch in and out of. So, yeah, see, allowing players to unlock and equip different spider suits for Peter and Miles, which, like I said, the last couple of games have kind of had that. So, I'm curious as to what's going to be repeats or not, because I'm pretty sure there's going to have to be with 65 suits. Like, Spidey had a lot of suits, and I can only think of a couple that would be new to either him or Miles. So that's, and I know like I said, there's 10 that I saw a video on that are unique to them that you'll be able to get one way or another. So, but yeah. I'm looking forward to that game. It's gonna be. Insomniac hasn't done bad so far with their track record, especially with those Spider-Man video games. So it's gonna be good. From the Marvel Legends front, apparently we have a photo of what the potential box is going to be for that Detroit Steel exclusive. And actually, I believe the day of this recording, Hasbro PulseCon has been going on, which I haven't had a chance to look into. So some of this stuff is going to be slightly old, given that, like I said, I didn't go back and before I recorded to see what came out of that. But I know this Detroit Steel figure is supposed to come out of that, and we got some pictures of that and some and a couple of other things from that, including the Marvel Knights Mindless One Build-A-Figure wave. We now have pictures, in-hand pictures with Lady Bullseye and the rest of the crew in that wave, which includes Daredevil, Luke Cage, Gamerverse Iron Man, Fist Ninja, Clea, and Blade. So I'm not going to. Well, I can see if I can. So I'll just flip through those real quick. Kingpin also apparently is in that. But yeah, most of these shots looks like they are from Lady Bullseye. Well, actually, Daredevil. I mean, not Daredevil. Kingpin. It might not be. It just might have been used as a reference. Looks like. But yeah, just scroll through those pictures. You can check them out in the show notes for yourself. And speaking of pictures of figures, we have some pictures of the G.I. Joe classified Desert Commando Snake Eyes that someone has gotten. And I have not seen this figure before. And but apparently, according to this article, is a reprint of the first Snake Eyes figure from Classified, and comes with a lot of accessories, just like the other one is going to. Just different, yeah. So there is that. It's not a bad looking figure, I will say so, but I'm pretty sure most people like myself and probably Agent 70 probably going to go for the more classic one that it is announced to come out. DC, going back to some books, DC makes a major change to Batman Incorporated, which is, I guess, spoilers for Batman Incorporated number 12, in that it looks like the Batman Inc. went up against Joker Inc. and it looks like they may be going their own separate ways, but are, according to this article, Ghostmakers decided to go independent, I guess, as opposed to being led by Batman or Lex Luthor or whoever else has led them. But I guess Ghostmaker was the one who was leading the team in this particular iteration. So there you go. Next up, though, DC's next comic event is quote, an attack of the Fursonas, according to this article from Gizmodo. So yeah, DC's next event looks to be Beast Boy centric, and Starro, I guess. So I guess what Beast Boy is going to turn into Starro, a Starro-like creature, and according to this article, sends out spores that turns its victims into animals. The Justice League is not around. The Titans are the ones in charge, so I guess that makes, I guess we understand why why they're the head of this. So this is going to start in October, and it's called The Beast World, and it will play out in various comics in the coming months, according to this article. So, and have tie-ins throughout various sections of the DC universe. And it will kick off with Titans Beast World, which is the name of the event, will kick off with Tales of the Titans number 4 by Andrew Constant and the art team of Brandon Stein on October 24th. And the event's first issue proper will release the following month on November 28th. So I believe Agent 70 and I have both been reading Tales of the Titans. So yeah, I guess we'll check that out. DC insists Fable's comic book series is not in the public domain, despite creators' claims. So yeah, we talked about Bill Willingham's seemingly put Fables into the public domain, basically saying screw DC, because it is his work, I guess. But in an issue, in a statement shared with IGN, DC had disputed Willingham's claims about Fables being in the public domain, asserting that it is not the case, and the company will take, quote, any action it deems necessary against the infringement of the property, as DC retains ownership over the beloved fantasy series and its characters. Quotes from DC: the Fables comics, books, and graphic novels published by DC, and the storylines, characters, and the elements therein are owned by DC and protected under the copyright laws of the United States, and they're out throughout the world in accordance with applicable law, and are not in the public domain. The statement reads: DC reserves all rights and will take such action as DC deems necessary and appropriate to protect its intellectual property. So that's basically the full quote from what I was saying. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with all of that, but we'll keep folks posted. I kind of figured something like that was going to be the case, or at least DC was going to come out and say something like that was going to be the case. So I guess we'll find out who's right or not. Last but not least, IDW publishes losses of $1.28 million in a quarter. According to this article, and this is for fiscal quarter, Q3, which ended January 31st, July, basically this past July, is when the last fiscal quarter ended. It resulted in lower sales coupled with higher expectations, which is, according to this article, a difficult combination. This article also notes that the loss was a big drop-off from the $595,000 loss in the year ago, and in the quarter a year ago, and another $200,000 loss in the most recent quarter before that. So, yeah, this is not looking good for IDW. Well, like I said, we've kind of been hearing the things from or around that company. So hopefully things are going to work out. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to save this one for next week because Agent 70 is probably going to want to hear about that. You might be seeing what shades of that that I'm speaking of, but shh. And with that, folks, that ends the comic book news. We're going to get to one last ad read for the night, and you know which one we do when we're kind of running for time. I did not think I was going to go this freaking long by myself. Oh, my goodness. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click our Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, exotic snacks, I would say, since thanks to one of my recent purchases. Not exotic, but just snacks you probably couldn't get around locally. But anyway, for every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends to CSPN a payment. Excuse me. That helps keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon through cspn.us. Do it today. And let me get back over to this shot right here. As we close out this here show, again, folks, I apologize for going so long. I did not think that was going to happen. I was trying for that not to happen, but hey, it happens. And with that, folks, we will be back next week. Maybe me again solo, or may not, or Agent 70 may be back. I don't know at this point. We'll see. We shall see. But regardless, there will be a show next week, more than likely. With that, my name is Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. I'll do it, whatever. Agent underscore 70, Agent underscore 70 on Twitter and Instagram and Threads. PC underscore Dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Network on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com is on the brother site therein. And Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter, CB Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, The Kliq Nation on Twitter, and thekliqnation.com, that's TheKaliqNation. And most importantly, he's over at comicbook.com, writing his face off under the name Timothy Adams, which is his actual name. You can find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network, the CSPN.us. Do it today. You can also find us on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You can also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Be sure to like and subscribe and do all that good jazz if you want to on the podcast feeds and the both Twitch and YouTube. If if you feel so inclined, we appreciate it. And 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and every place else. And with that, folks, I bid you adieu for this here night. Be good or be good at it, all that kind of good jazz. I have been your friendly neighborhood Roddykat. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace. Yeah.
Good evening, Rick. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?